Million More Brothers, back again, and I don't know how long this was going to go. It may be a short rant or it might be a long ramble. I'm not quite sure because I probably ranted on a couple of channels, a couple of people's channels. So for that, I apologize to the content creators. I did it in the middle of Mr. Z's stream. So that I want to apologize for because that's just an old man's frustration. It really is. And something that Dr. T told me, that's why he's my PhD advisor. He teaches people. He's been teaching people for, 30 years. And he teaches all kinds of people, all kinds of black people at all levels. So I listen to him and I respect him because sometimes when I get pissed because I'm not a public teacher. So I don't deal in person with thousands of people like he has, where you have to take a student from A to B, or A to Z, I should say. And of all different intellectual levels, from simple to, to complex. And I have to respect what he told me, especially when it comes to this space in black people and what we call pro-blackness or nationalists and their frustrations, right? He told me, and I have to agree with him, just because you heard it 1,000 times doesn't mean they heard it 1,000 times. Just because they keep coming up with the same answer that you've heard 1,000,000 times from 1,000,000 different people over the past 35, 40 years doesn't mean that they have. Because they think it's new. They think it's the best thing since sliced bread. In fact, they think it is sliced bread. I just invented sliced bread, right? That's what they think. And sometimes they get frustrated because I've heard it so many times and argued about it so many times. And sometimes I get frustrated and I press them. Because a lot of these cats, man, it pisses me off. They throw out this quote-unquote pro-blackness. And they throw out the quote-unquote pro-black script that they picked up over the years from different people. And they scrunch it all together into a script. And they think that their credentials they're going to throw on me is supposed to be superior to my experience over the past 30 years. People that are supposed to be on the left, that are progressive, and say that their progressiveness is superior to my political education, when I've been involved in this stuff since I was 18. So this is nigh on to more than 40 years. And they're trying to school me on something that I walk through. And sometimes it gets irritating. Sometimes in this space, you get new people coming into this YouTube space, right? The new content creators. Shout out to them because I love them. Don't get it twisted. I do love them. Okay, I do. Wouldn't be here if I didn't. I do help them. I wouldn't help them if I didn't love them and understand that, that it is what it is, right? It's not a easy job. Basically, man, I had to learn the hard way, man. I had trolls coming at me when I had 100 subscribers. When I first opened my tent, I had trolls coming at me. People are telling me about the white content creators. I started out as a MGTOW on the white side, as a MGTOW content creator, as a MGTOW follower. My second or third video I ever did in the MGTOW space was actually borrowed or stolen by Sandman. It was. The next day, a lot of stuff I did over there, people started modeling their content after what I did over there, which is not surprising because me being on YouTube follows me being 11 years on an online talk show. So I had cut my teeth way before this, where you had an online talk show and then you had to show up in public and meet these people. You had to know these people in real life because a lot of these people in these small circles followed you and knew who you were, knew who I was, my buddy was, and we had to show up at events and talk to these people and be around these people. So we would get instant feedback. So by the time I came to YouTube, this is nothing new. I'm used to talking like what goes on in the UK with Pearly. When we were doing our talk show, we had a London line. We were talking to people in the UK with their experience and their differences about how they go about their thing as far as racism or white supremacy. Do they have it? Yes. Is it like ours? No. Different deal, different complex, a different setup. I knew that even before I got to YouTube. So when Pearly set up her thing, set up her content, set up her show, all the views and stuff generated was not local. It wasn't us. It wasn't people in the African American sphere. And as she says, a lot of her people on the platform were Nigerian. Nigeria has 200 million black people. Nigeria has 5 times the black people in Nigeria than there are in where? The United States. 5 times. Nigeria alone has more black Americans than we do. Have 100 million black men. 5 times the number. They have almost as many Nigerians. In fact, there are more Nigerians, black people in Nigeria than there are white people in the United States. There are more black people in Nigeria than there are white people in the United States. Pearlie doesn't need us to get views. That's not including the black people, the millions of black people that are in the UK, male and female. And since they take their cues from us in the United States, in the black manosphere, they take the cues, not necessarily all the talking points, but the cues. And 9 times out of 10, they want their own. Okay, they want their own show because they don't have it. So Pearl comes over with manosphere and black manosphere, well, not necessarily black manosphere, but manosphere talking points about dating and mating. And she's asking them about black people in the UK, because that's who she's talking about when she says, when they bring up something, they're talking to the people in the UK. Those women are not talking about us. They're talking about their local men. And they're hungry for this kind of show, this kind of information. What did she say? She didn't expect to get 1 million followers, or almost 2 million followers in that short amount of time. What did we say the first time when they brought Pearl up? It's not us. We said that the first time. It's not us. What did she say when she gave her apology? It's not us. She explained to you the setup. She explained to you the background. She explained to you how she runs her studios, who recruits. Why are there black people or black faces in her studio to be interviewed? They're Nigerians, not American black people. They look like us because that's where we come from. So just because they look like us, you guys are doing the same thing they do. As Edward said, you guys are doing the same thing that they do. Because they look like us or we look like them, they take their cues and vice versa. What I don't like is that the black manosphere, as we call it, the black content creators, for the most part, Obsidian excluded, don't have anything to do with this. But can we take the clips or the shorts and because it illustrates a point that we're trying to make? Sure, that's what we do. We take them from anybody. Last I heard, World Star Hip Hop was not in the black manosphere. But we take tons and tons and tons of examples from World Star Hip Hop. Kevin blew up on World Star Hip Hop. Is that black manosphere? No. It's considered mainstream now. It's so popular. Why am I saying all this, man? I am sorely disappointed in this space. I am sorely disappointed in you people. Sorely disappointed. Why was I ranting Mr. Z's and Arts and a few other places about this space? Because we got people coming in after it blows up, telling us what we should do and how we should do it and what should have been done and what you Negroes haven't done and how this space sucks, right? Okay, fine. He's trying to tell Kev, because Kev was basically almost saying, he wasn't saying that it sucks, but he's trying to tell us what's wrong with it. I was telling him basically 2013, when I got here as a sub to the MGTOW channel, because I was actually interested in how this stuff works, there was no black manosphere. It wasn't called that. In fact, most of the content creators that had been on what we call Manosphere 1.0 were gone. They were gone. They had cleaned them all out for the most part. They had a couple that were left. K-Soul and Black, very small content creator, by that time. Sergeant Willie Pete was a relatively small content creator. It was still left. The only person that was really left, as far as what we call black manosphere, that's really left, was Tommy. Everybody complained about Tommy Sotomayor, the shock jock. There was nobody else. All you had was scraps of people here and there. Most of the people were coming over from MGTOW. Like 80% of the black guys were coming over from MGTOW by the time I came, or some kind of MRA. Obsidian was an MRA. Valdez was the MRA. O'Shea, I don't know what O'Shea was. O'Shea was somebody that actually, I think O'Shea, I don't know what O'Shea was. Because I didn't get to find out about O'Shea until damn near 2016. I didn't know who any of these people are. So there wasn't any of this centralism. Wasn't none of this. There was no space. A loose collection of leftover content creators. That's all there was. I was recruited by MGTOWs to make content in 2014. When it got to be a little heated because I wanted to talk about black men's issues, and you can't do that in the MGTOW forum. Shout out to Coach Greg. Shout out to Darius M. because Darius MGTOW was a late bloomer. Shout out to him. He stuck it out. Me, Truth 40, Adagon Forest, Black Ram. Shout out to my Ibmore brother, Ibmore number 3 or 4. I don't know which one he is. We decided to make a switch because a lot of our black MGTOWs wanted to talk about black male content, black male issues, black women, and our issues with them, our struggles with them. To not only understand them, but understand us. My whole content is not about slagging women, for the most part. Can you bash women every now and then? Sure. But bashing women is secondary to men understanding themselves. I came in cold. I dropped my hat. And guess what? For the bigger content creators, back then, if you had 3,000 subs, you're a big content creator back then. No lie. And I was tiny. When I set up shop, I had 100, maybe. And those are the people I pulled from MGTOW that have been with me forever. And shout out to my ride or dies, man. They've been with me since 2014, and they're still with me. And I can never thank them enough, because a lot of times when I was going to give up, man, they saved me. 2015, when I came over here, I was getting attacked by feminists and all these other knuckleheads. They pulled my ass out of the fire more times than I can imagine. Don't leave. Stay with us. But I was recruited. I was recruited by Adagon Forest and Black Ram and Truth 40. We came over here, but we're Ibmores. I set up shop. I made a few videos. I was recruited by Obsidian. I was recruited by Valdez. I was recruited by Solo TV 84, which I'm always grateful to him because he welcomed me. O'Shea at the time welcomed me because he stole some talking points right off the bat. Upgradable 6. Imprints. When I got here, after about 2 months, I noticed that trying to break into even on the smallest hangout, and most of the hangouts were Purple Pill, they had women on it. The smallest hangout, you couldn't come up unless you were invited. They had to send you a link. Otherwise, you weren't invited. At the time, it was dangerous to actually do that because once you're in, basically, you have privileges just like everybody else. So you had to be invited. Basically, you only had 2 or 3 people up at a time, almost like Blog Talk. You couldn't just come up and talk. Even on Blog Talk, there's, I remember, man, on Blog Talk, it was the cows. And sometimes if you're not rocking with the host or completely rocking with the host, even though you're polite, you're not kissing the host's ass, they disrespected. I still remember it at the time, the last time I was on, I still got disrespected and then booted and then talked about afterwards. And after that, I never came back. Even though I was polite, even though I came in, all I said is about my age and how long I've been around, and they took offense to it. And then their echo chamber jumped on me and booted me and then talked about me. I felt that was wrong. So when I got here, after I did a few videos and I wanted to do a hangout live, I pasted the link, into the description. Anybody could come up. That's the way I was taught as a Gnostic. The temple is open for anybody. Anybody that comes can come in. So when I opened my Coliseum, as we called it, as long as you were respectful, the temple was open to you. And those talks went from an hour to 2 to 3 to 4 to 8 and sometimes 13. Classic talks about everything. Anything that you wanted to discuss, was open. Nothing was off the table as long as it was actually respectful. Nothing was off the table. And we built this model that you see with all these people up here, with the course, with the online stuff, with the hangouts, with the live stuff. Half that stuff was built by me and my cohorts. We changed what it meant to be online. We changed what the model was. We changed the way discussions were actually had, not only in the Black manosphere, but the manosphere period. But with YouTube period, nobody had done that on YouTube before. Half of them still don't. We spawned a lot of movements, spawned a lot of discussion, spawned a lot of stuff. Like when I was here and crypto was new, nobody in Black YouTube did crypto for the most part. Nobody. Everybody was scared of it. I brought up a chart, showed them how to get started, how to read the stuff. A couple of people that did charts just like I did, they chimed in. We started this thing from scratch. There was no Black manosphere. There wasn't. There was what used to be a loosely collection of people, what we call Gen X. Maybe about 20 people, maybe, if that. Places like Blog Talk. We built this thing from basically nothing, with no money. Valdez had to beg for contributions because nobody wanted to donate. Obsidian used to daily beg for contributions. Hey, join my Patreon, sign up, $5. We had to go through AdSense bans. And we had to walk through the women that ran the other group off of YouTube. So the investors, the swirlers, the misandrists, they were actually here. They were here, that had become powerful. Ran them off. Fought them back, ran them off. Brought people in, brought all sorts of people in, PhDs, professional people, all sorts of people. Opened up a women's channel. Well, a lot of the women that you see here, there were no red pill women for the most part. They've been run off. I was bold enough to actually start a women's channel against everybody else's suggestion. But the thing is, there would be no red pill women if it wasn't for that. None. All the so-called pick-me's that were put on by Black men, they're on the other side. Those are all the women that everybody else put on. Guess where they're at? Guess where they're at? Paris Milan, Cynthia G, Chrissy. The ones that you love to hate, they were put on by other people. Kendra came out of our camp. Sister George, Concrete Rose, came out of our camp. We built this thing from scratch. Kevin came out of our camp. We built this thing from scratch. We put all this stuff together. We brought in PhDs. We talked about the monitoring report. We talked about all this history, all these stats, all this data. Put it all together. Kevin blew up, shocked the world. SYSBM, all this stuff is new. All these little things rolled on our coattails. We're like a big ass comet that grew in size and brought all these little things with us. SYSBM, Passport Bros, all the other little red pill stuff, they all are tails on our big ass comet. You brought this stuff from nothing, the laughing stock of YouTube, to prominence, to international prominence, where you have a voice, where you're actually getting eyeballs, people that get stealing ideas from us. We're so important that so-called white girl is using our talking points to get 1 million subscribers, 1 million subs from us, from our information. That's how impactful we are. We did it with nothing and no money, and a lot of grinding, a lot of time, a lot of headache, a lot of planning, a lot of luck, because you need luck. And here we are. But you now new jack people coming in telling us what we should and shouldn't do, and how disappointed they are in ourselves. We didn't ask you to come here. You use our stuff, which is Kevin, our stuff to make your money, which is fine. Nobody's griping about that, which is fine. But don't come over here high and mighty and telling us about what we should do or how we should do it, because when nobody was in those pits when they were trying to strike us in 2016, trying to delete our channels. O'Shea hid his channels in 2016. He hid his channel. Valdez got hit. Obsidian got hit. Obsidian got his channel taken. Valdez got his channel taken. And I told YouTube, you can take mine if you want to. I'm not running. I'm not going to hide my channel or lock my channel or lock my information. When I got doxxed in 2018, they tried to run me out of here by attacking my family. So guess what I did? Fuck it. I locked everything. Put everything on private. There was nothing there. For 3 weeks, people bugged the hell out of me. Even my enemies bugged the hell out of me. Open up your channel. I want your information. I want to hear the discussions. So guess what I did when I came back? And shout out to Dr. T. I said, what I'm going to do is build a whole new branch, the Black Manosphere. I'm going to take what I have, with the people that I have, I'm going to build a whole new branch. All you PhDs, whole new branch. Edward and people like him, whole new branch. Now, did all those people, all those folks that I helped previously, I'm not talking about Valdez, they helped me. My ride or dies, okay? Back then we were cool. I helped them, they helped me. But I had a whole lot of people turn on me in 2018 for no reason. A whole lot of people aided people to dox me and put a knife in my back in 2018. They tried it again in 2020 because the PhDs were here and Kevin was blowing up. And I knew that I had to protect Kevin because Kevin was chosen to actually break out of this little bubble that we're in into the mainstream. So I stood 10 toes with Kevin. I stood 10 toes with the PhDs. Come through me. Go back and look. I stood up for him, for Kevin. Not only in public, but also behind the scenes. Feeding him information. Feeding him, hey man, whatever I have that you want to use, man, go and use it. Half the stuff that Kevin talked about came from me. That I wanted to basically showboat, scream that he stole something from me. No, because the mission was actually more important than that. Way more important than that. So even though it was unpopular, at the time, people were screaming, Kitten Hills and all that kind of shit, right? Get him off the air. He's a misogynist. He shouldn't do that to women. Talks bad to all that kind of shit, right? Or on the other end, he's not hard enough. He's not going in enough. What does he mean, high value man? All the negative stuff. Now that he's a martyr, now that he's grown beyond anybody's reach, everybody wants to come in and claim their piece and what they think and tell us what we should do. Y'all weren't here. Y'all didn't go through the struggle. Y'all don't have a right to tell us what we should do. I'm listening to guys tell me what their mission is. Like the pro-blacks, y'all don't have not a one pro-black bone in your body. Not a bone in your body. You run your mouth like you know what you're talking about. Let's talk about the thing about Pearl said about black folks and slavery and Alex Haley, right? Go back and read Dick Gregory. He said that Dick Gregory said to us back in 1990 about Alex Haley and plagiarism. And that Roots was a myth. 2 people sued Alex Haley for plagiarism in the 70s, in the 80s. So what the white girl said, even though it was only half baked, was accurate, but nobody checked it. Nobody checked it. When she said it, I knew what she was talking about, but nobody checked it. Everybody reacted emotionally instead of intellectually. Nobody checked it. Everybody talks. Everybody clutches the pearls, but nobody checked it. Nobody does their reading. Nobody does their research. Everybody talks. Everybody looks at videos. I had the guy last night talked about history of slavery, talked about a DVD. I said, Negro, did you ever pick up a book? Did you ever read? Do you want to read? Do you want to know? Even since I've been here, man, I had to learn the history of feminism from scratch. But I got good teachers. I got 4 PhDs. I should be able to learn it. I got a lot of help. And I have to go up against people with master's degrees in this shit that don't even know this stuff. Haven't picked up a book to even learn this stuff. They go by what the teachers told them as talking points. And then Pearlie comes out with this Nick avowed racists, avowed national or white supremacists, interviews him. They have a talk. Instead of people breaking down what he says and learning from what the conversation is, we would have done back in the day in the black community, in the black conscious movement, in the pro-black movement, people react emotionally to the optics. Because you don't like the white girl. Really, that's all it is. Let's be honest. You don't like the white girl. You don't like the black faces and the white girl. You don't like the optics. Has nothing to do with the information. You don't like the optics. And you claim that you're pro-black. You claim that you're knowledgeable. You claim that you know about slavery and racism. And you don't. The people that should know better, that should have been studied, that should actually investigate this stuff, they don't. They don't know anything. And I'm disappointed because they don't know anything. They haven't taken the time to even know what they're talking about. But these are the people that are supposed to guide us, supposed to help fix the black community, supposed to make change. Really. Supposed to mend a divide between black men and women. Really. Spend a lot of time, spend hours in all sorts of different places, right? Not just a black YouTube is probably not even 50%, not even 30% of what I listen to because I'm working, trying to gather information, trying to be accurate. I get arguments from people that should know better, should read because they claim they read. They claim they study. They claim that they know what they're talking about. It frustrates me when they don't. Simple stuff, like somebody argue about Jewish is a religion, which it is. It's also an ethnicity. It really is. It's also an ethnicity. And I had somebody in my comment section, 2 or 3 people arguing with me about it. I said, can you guys go look this shit up before you come in and argue? But that's a tangent. Let me go in a different direction. But I'm sorely disappointed. I really am. All these years of study, all these years of being online, all these years of being in a sector that you guys claim that you're in and you're not. I was just at an event with 500 people that are in the pro-black community. None of y'all were there. What events do you go to? What organizations are you with? Who's your mentors? You're so pro-black. You're so with our people. Show your work. You're running your mouths. Show your work. I'm tired of people running their mouths, claiming something, complaining about something. Show your work. Where's your work? A book, a study, an article, something. Where's your work? A theory. Where's your work? All these oddball people from these oddball places with these off-the-wall lifestyles. The best you can do is TikTok. Where's the rest of your work? Something. Grounded on something. But you have to nerve enough to actually complain about me and other people that actually do the goddamn work. At least Pearl reads. She doesn't know everything, but at least she tries to read and tries to learn. I'll give her that. Do you? All we do is actually go around and talk about each other. Where's your work? I'll give Amari Brown's one thing. He does read. Doesn't interpret well, but he does read. I'll give him that. He might be a dumbass, but at least he reads. I respect him for that. The rest of y'all, where's your work? Anyhow, let me stop rambling.